very mixed. It starts with a pie experiment from the 18th century. It covers various sauerkraut recipes and the production of a brandy worth of George Washington. It even includes making hard cider and cooking a rabbit. Sit back and enjoy the journey through the 18th century cuisine. Can you cook a pie, and how does it taste? This was not uncommon in the 18th century, depending on the kitchen tools available. People either baked or cooked. The cooked version called pudding. Today we will take a look on this and bake a pie while cooking a pudding with the same ingredients. And then we will see what comes out, how it tastes and how it looks. And what we do is apple pie and apple pudding. I have very fresh apples. I harvested them 2 days ago and now I want to use them. And I will produce both next to each other here, that they both are finished at the same time. But for you, I will show it step by step. Read one recipe, do this recipe, and then read the other recipe, do this recipe, and then we will taste. Let's start with the first recipe. Both recipes came from the cookbook The Lady Assistants, and it is a cookbook from 775 and came from England. And I will read the first recipe to you, the apple pudding. Apple pudding. Make a puff paste, roll it near ½ an inch thick, pare and core the apples. Fill the crust, grate a little lemon peel and a little lemon juice. In the winter it quicks the apples. Put in some sugar, close the crust, tie it in a cloth. A small pudding will take 2 hours boiling, a large one 3 or 4. In the beginning I core and peel the apple, and I take the smallest apple that I have found, because for this dish I can make the apple very small. The bigger apple is good for other dishes too. I prepare so much apple that I need. I core, chop them in little pieces. You can use also bigger pieces or a half apple. I like it more if it's really small, it tastes better on the end. Then I take the cooking pot and put them on the fire that I can start to cook the water. When the water is cooking, and then I put my linen inside and cook them very short, after a few seconds is enough, and put them out and lay them on my board where I make the rest. And then I put a lot of flour on my linen, and this helps that the dough later will bake in the linen. It is go loose very easily. If there enough flour on top, then I put the puff paste there. Spread it a little bit that I have enough puff paste for the apples. The apples come inside the puff paste, and then I throw some sugar on top. These are very sweet apple. If you have more sour apple, you need more sugar. If you have very sweet apple, take less sugar. This is not too sweet on the end. Then I put lemon peel on top. I have just chopped some lemon. And then it's important to close the dough very tight, because the puff paste is very sticky. It is very easy. I close everything very well. I close the lion through, make a nut on top, but I leave a little space inside. You see this is a little bit loose, because sometimes the puff paste go a little bit up and go bigger, and then there is a little bit space in the lion dish. And then I put everything together in the cooking water. This will need, I think, 2.5 hours is my feeling. It's not a really small one, but it's not a big one. I will leave it for 2.5 hours, and I think then it is through into the middle. This is just waiting now. Be sure that it's cooking the whole time. The cook time was nearly 3 hours, a little bit longer than I was expecting in the first beginning, but then I have taken the pudding out, and then I was surprised because the texture was very gummy like, and I was not sure will it flow out or stick it together. And by the opening I was very unsure what I want to do with the pudding. Put them on the wood plate, deep stone jar, or put it on a flat stone plate, and you see what I have chosen. This was very undefinite, but this was done very sticky together, and I can push them over the plate and was happy that it's all stay together. And then I cut a piece out and start to trying it. In my historical cookbooks I have a lot of different apple pies, and this says to me there was a oft using of apple pies, and the people make a lot of them in nearly every cookbook is a different type, different ingredients. And today we make the most easiest one that I have found. But let's try the dish of today. Apple pie. Pare, core and quarter the apples. Lay some sugar in the bottom of the dish, then the apples. Grate a little lemon peel, some more sugar, then more apples. Cover the dish with puff paste. When it comes from the oven, take the crust neatly off, leaving the edge. Cut the crust in 8 pieces, which sticks into the pie. It starts with the dish, and I put a little bit sugar on the bottom of the dish. Only a little bit and even everywhere, and then it starts with the apples. And I take small apples, peel them and quarter them and lay out the whole dish. Then I make the lemon peel on top and sugar again, and then there came a new layer of apples, and I skin and core the apple exactly of the amount that I need and fill up the whole dish. On top of the apples there coming the puff paste. I put the puff paste on top and cut them out that there is a nice layer of puff paste around the whole dish and everything is closed. And then it's important to make vending holes. I put today 3 in this puff paste, and this beware the puff paste to explode, and the steam of the moisture of the apple juice can go out of this pie. Now it needs to be baked, and I use a Dutch oven today because I don't have an earthen oven, and I put in the Dutch oven a trivet that there is a little bit space between the dish and the Dutch oven, and then I put the whole pie inside and close the Dutch oven. And now it's important to have double amount of coals on top than under the Dutch oven. It's very important to bake it. If it too much coals under the oven, then it is more like burning downside from the downside, but on the top is too low heat, and it's important to have more heat from above than under the Dutch oven. And now I think it needs to be baked 1.5 to 2 hours in the Dutch oven. I don't preheated the Dutch oven. Normally I do this, and because of this it have taken nearly 2 hours after I have started to make the coals around the Dutch oven. And then it was baked, and I take it out, cut off the lid and make out of the lid 8 pieces and stick them in the pie. It looks very interesting, and I think the description of the recipe means like this. And if I set this on table, it looks amazing. What a beautiful idea. And then I take a little bit out on my plate and make a beautiful dish. And I have already tasted the pudding and the pie, and I can explain a little bit the difference. Both are very interesting. You see, although you taste the brotherhood of both, but also both taste a little bit different. And who watched this video carefully see that I don't have done the butter in the pie. This has one reason. Yes, you can do this, but if I don't do this in the pie, but I haven't done, then I have exact the same ingredients. If I do the butter inside, then there is a little bit more difference inside, and I really want to see how they both taste. And I start with the pudding. The pudding is very interesting. If nobody say to me before this is apple, it tastes like apricot. It is a very interesting taste, especially the puff paste. You can taste the puff paste and see the layers. This is really interesting. I never have eaten cooked puff paste before, and it tastes really like apricot pie. It's amazing. I never think about use apples and have apricot. And also the feeling in the mouth is so interesting because it is cooked. I can recommend maybe try it out. And also the other one, the pie, is also very interesting. You have the hard puff paste, how we like know it, and you have the taste of apple, apricot and citron, and there's more complex, and I was surprised that I taste such a difference between both of them dishes. It's very interesting. If I can do one again, I think I will do the pudding again. I like it a little bit more, but if you want to taste the 18th century, try out both. Maybe I think my wife will like the pie more than the pudding. Imagine a recipe from the 18th century that was so amazing and delicious the Germans still cook it today. It is from region to region very different, and the exact origin is unknown. There are many variations, in the south mostly sweet, in the Palatine sometimes salty. My family has developed its own version of this recipe, slightly different from the common ones today. Today I will show you our family version of Dampfnudeln with Zwetschgen, which in English you can call yeast dumpling with plums. Prepared exactly as it has been passed down through generations. In the first step we need to make a yeast dough, and this is a family recipe of yeast dough. I will show it to you. I need to calculate it every time new. We don't have written down how much from each product come in this product. This is why I say with some calculation what I think it should be. You can do a little bit more, a little bit less, and then do it by your own. The main part is the flour. This is all-purpose flour, and it's around, I think it's 2 cups. 1 egg, and also every egg is a little bit bigger and smaller. It doesn't matter, we use 1 egg. Then one of the main ingredients is the yeast. I have here a liquid yeast. This is typical for this time period. I use them, but you can also use a dry yeast, or I don't know which different type of yeast exists in your country. You need yeast. And then 1 big spoonful of sugar, salt, a little salt, and then 2 other very important ingredients. One is butter, and I have here the butter, and the butter need to be melted down. And this is around between 2 and 3 ounces. And I don't weigh them, I can't say you it is more 2 or more 3 ounces, something between. And then you need whole milk. And with the milk, it is good if it is on room temperature. 5 ounces, 8 ounces, 12 ounces of liquid milk. You need to calculate it by doing. In the first step, you put all the flour in the bowl where you want to knead them, and then you make all dry ingredients inside, like the sugar and the salt. If you have dry yeast, the dry yeast too, and mix it well. And when it mixed, you make a little hole in the middle, and then there come in the butter, the egg, and if you have no dry yeast, now came your yeast inside. And the important thing is that the butter is not too hot. If the butter too hot, they will kill the yeast. And you put a little bit milk inside, and then you knead them. Very constant, and every time you feel you need a little bit more liquid, you put a little bit more milk inside. This is what you do until you have a really good dough. If it's too wet, you can make a little bit more flour inside. If it's too dry, you can make more milk inside. How many milk you need is also different by the flour type and how many water can the flour take, how big is your egg, something like this. I can't give a calculation how many. And just do it. It's every time a little bit different, but it will make a really good dough. This is the perfect dough. You can see it if you open this. It glued together. It is one dough, but at the same time it don't glue on the hand anymore. And between this is a little space between. It can more wet, it can more dry, and it needs to stay something like this. And now we make a little bowl and set it on side with a kitchen cloth on top, and then they can stay for 1 hour. In the time where the yeast working through the dough, I go to the plum tree and harvest some of the plums that I want to do later in my dumplings. And when I harvest enough, I need to stone them. And with the plums, when they are really sweet and in the ripe, then it's very easy. You just need to cut, and you can take out the stone, and the stone is loose from the flesh of the fruit. And when there's not ripe enough, the flesh and the stone will glue together. And I do this with all of my plums. And now is the time to prepare the dish. And I have decided to use this one. Normally I use an earthen one, but this one is really 250 years old, and that's right for this dish today. And in the first step, it needs to be butter inside, a lot of butter. And you see, I'm not careful with the butter. It's important for the taste later, and also that you can lose the dumplings later really good from the dish. And this is what we're doing here, to knead really the butter in every corner. The dough is finished, and now you see it's rised a little bit. And now we take out a little bit of our dough and make it flat like this. And then we put one of our plums inside and close it up that the dough is on all sides even. Like this. And we do this with all our plums. Before we bake the dumplings, it needs to be a little bit milk in the dish. It is very important. I cover just the flat of the dish, it's enough, and this will steam out and will steep through the dumplings, and this is very important also for the taste of the dumplings later. And some people use water, or in my home region they are using salt water for this, but I prefer to make it with the sweet dumplings with milk. And then the dumplings coming, each of them in the dish. And what I do the biggest on the outside, the smallest on the inside. It's not important in this dish, but if you have a round dish and you lay them around in a circle and you do in the middle also some dumplings, it's important to do the smallest in the middle, because there get not so much heat how the dumplings on the outside. But for this purpose it's not important how you order this. And then I put a little bit butter between every dumpling, and this helps a little bit to lose them later. It's not important again, but I like to do this, and this is why I do this here and every each. And for the baking I'm using a Dutch oven. I don't have a oven until now, but you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. One day I will build an oven for recipes like this. And in the Dutch oven I put this metal, and this helps that I have a little bit space between my dish and the Dutch oven for the heat. That is more a baking and not like frying on the ground. In the prepared Dutch oven coming the dumplings, and I put them in and lid on top. And now it's important by Dutch ovens to have 1/3 of the heat from downside and 2/3 from the top, that you can really bake through. And this is why I make a lot of coals on top again, and I calculate now it will take around 30 minutes until the dumplings are finished. When the dough turns golden brown on the top, you can take out the dumplings because they are finished. The dumpling tasted best when they are warm. This is what I do. I take them out warm, cut them in half and throw sugar on top. And the sugar melted a little bit, and then there's perfect. Some people do vanilla sauce on top, and how you can do a historical vanilla sauce recipe, you can see this on the link above. But my family use only sugar, and this is what I do. My plate is already empty, and this is why I have started to eat them. And I am remembered back in the garden by my grandma. I was a little child, and all this mind's coming back. It tastes like history for me, my family history. It is so a genius dish. You can try it at home, as it's not too sweet. Try it out, as it's a wonderful dish. In the 18th century, vanilla sauce was not an everyday dessert, but a real highlight, served on special events with ingredients that were still considered a luxury at this time. Today we will make an original recipe from this time, step by step, just as it was really made back then. No package, no powder, just craftsmanship, patience and a touch of history in every movement. And the result, a sauce that not only tastes sweet, but also tastes of a different area. The recipe today came from Bremen. This is a port in the north of Germany, a very important port for trade. It's a very easy reason. If you have a big port, it is easier to trade and get some luxury and special stuff. And the vanilla needs to import it in the 18th century till today, but it was very expensive and special, and it was easier to get them for the normal citizen, not the farmer, to get them in the big cities. And sometimes you get them also a little bit cheaper if there came a lot of vanilla. And the price of vanilla was very different from time to time. And this is why I can't say how much exactly they cost, because we have not this specific year where we do this recipe now. And this is why I choose a northern recipe. And what's also happened with vanilla, the vanilla was so famous that tried to plant them and produce them in Europe, especially in London and Paris, in the big botanical gardens. I don't find anything that they have luck in its function, and because of this they need to import it, and it's a really special and expensive spice. But let's go to the vanilla sauce. For the first step, I have here a 1 pint of milk and the vanilla bean, and then we cut them at half and take out the inner mark and put them in the milk with the whole vanilla. Now I put the vanilla sauce on the fire, and it's important to heat them very slow and twist them the whole time. And when they start to cooking, immediately I take them off and let them cool down for 5 minutes, and then we see us again. In the time where my vanilla milk is cooling down, I take 3 eggs and put the egg yolk in one big bowl, and the white I can throw them away or use in anywhere else, and take 3 spoonfuls of sugar. Put them all together and beat them with a whisk that there's a lot of air inside. It's important for the next step. And now it's my milk cooling down. Just 5 minutes is enough. Then I can take out the vanilla. Here I have my vanilla stick. And what I can do is to wash them and dry them. And when they are dried, I can reuse them. Just put them in the sugar and leave them in the sugar. And this is how I make my own vanilla sugar for the next time when I use a vanilla sugar for a recipe. And now I can do my next step. I take just a little bit of this milk, but only a little bit, and make them to my egg. It's important not too much, that it can be mixed and warm up the milk and the sugar. And I do this step by step, every time a little bit milk inside, and warm up step by step with the milk. In the next step, I put the milk and the eggs again in the pot and set them on the fire again. And under stirring, I will stick them up a little bit, but I don't want to cook the milk. It's important not to cook them, or the egg will go hard, and I don't want to use it hard, and then it will be a thick vanilla sauce. What I show you in the moment is I have taken the sauce from the fire because they're starting to get too hot. You see this little points here? This is when it goes too hot. I don't want to do this, but I have reached a too hot temperature. It can happen. Because of this, I take it out and stir it a little bit outside of the fire, and then I put them back. It is easier to do this if the pot is in the water, and then I can control it easier, but in the moment I have no choice to make the sauce in a water bath. This is why I go on the fire, off of the fire, until I have my thickness of the sauce that I want to reach. When the vanilla sauce start to thickening up, then is the right time to get them off the fire and let it cool a little bit down, and then put them in the pot to bring them to the table for the dish. And this is a really, really nice vanilla sauce. I like them. They're so good. And you can taste a little bit history. I can recommend, try it out. And especially for all pudding dishes that I make on this YouTube channel, it will be delicious to have this vanilla sauce to add it to the pudding. Sauerkraut is one of Germany's most famous dishes. Some people love it and some people don't like it at all. But in the 18th century, it could be a matter of life or death. The most famous sauerkraut recipe from Germany is a wine sauerkraut, and today I will show you how it was made. Back then, in the 18th century, a Scottish doctor named James Lind found out that scurvy could be stopped by eating certain foods, like lemons or sauerkraut. Between the 15th and 18th century, scurvy was one of the deadliest diseases on ships. Often more than the half of the crew died from it. People mainly eat salted meat and hard biscuits, which caused serious vitamin deficits. On land, especially among soldiers, scurvy was also common. The idea that sauerkraut could help only became widely known at the beginning of the 19th century and was eventually added to the English Navy food supplies for long sea voyages. Germans, however, had been using sauerkraut long before that in the Hanseatic League, a network of German trading cities. People had eaten it since the Middle Ages. This German tradition is something we want to bring back to life on my YouTube channel. We're looking at the lives of German immigrants in the US, showing how they dressed, what tools they used, and what they eat. And this wine sauerkraut is a typical German sauerkraut you can buy in the supermarket. And I have prepared all the stuff what we need today. Maybe I need a little bit more garbage, and then I take it direct from the field. It is behind me. And I have to just clean up a little bit of the garbage. And this is what I do to prepare all the garbage. I take them, and they have a lot of holes, and take out the biggest leaves. And I will save the biggest good leaves for later. We will use them later. And then I cut with a knife everything what is bad out that we don't want to have in the garbage. And I do this with patience, with every garbage, and use only the perfect and best stuff. What we do today is 2.5 gallons, and this is what we have here, and this is plastic. I try to do so traditional how I can do it, and this don't touch the garbage, but I don't have the original pot and stuff. This is the only way I can use it. I try to buy everything historical tools, and you can support me with this when you subscribe this YouTube channel, that I can buy more historical tools. And what we have also here is bay leaves. It's very important for the taste. Then I have salt. I make a half ounce of salt to every kilogram, like 2 pounds of garbage. And then I have here wine. This is a Riesling. Riesling is a typical wine that came from the area, from the type of sauerkraut what we make today. And this is a dry wine. In the first step, I clean up my garbage, and then I make it very small to cut them down and put the salt on, and then I squeeze them. And I have learned that if I take my big wood and breath them down, it goes faster, a lot faster. This is what I do until the juice coming out. And then I collect the juice in a special pot and take the garbage and put them in the pot and beat them with wood again, that they are going down and there's no air between the garbage and the juice. Put a little bit juice inside that there's immediately under the garbage, and then I make the next batch of garbage. Every time I make 1 kilo, but in the next time I take out the salt water again and put in the wine step by step. And this is where I use the wine, and I put in the bay leaves step by step. I have no really calculation about this just after feeling, and then I fill up the whole pot until this is full. It is very dark now outside and I can't make the rest of the video outside. It goes very fast dark, or you need a long time to make the sauerkraut. And you see, this is not complete full. Sometimes it's possible to make more inside, and I have a little bit left over, but I don't want to use them now. I'm finished today. It was not enough work. And now I take the big leaf that I have taken out and put them in this sauerkraut, and then I put stones on top there, push them down, and then I have my plastic bag, put them on top and make water inside, and then they can go and ferment. After 6 weeks the sauerkraut is finished fermented and we can take out our first portion. And it's very important to work very clean with good washed hands and tools. First, the stones and top leaves are removed. Then the needed amount is taken. The best way is to do this the less time it can be, and take bigger portions out in one time and use it for the next 1 or 2 weeks. So the rest can stay fresh for up to 1 year. I usually take enough for 1 week. Afterwards it needs to be sealed with the water again, and for this first I go in and push down all the sauerkraut. This is on the sides here, and push everything down under the water. Then I take the leaves that I get out and put them back as the seal from the top. And in the last step the stones need on top again. And it should be everything under the water solution. And if it's not, then it is important to make salt water on top again. And this is just water with 2% of salt. And I see this here, I need to make a little bit of them and put them in this jar. Delicious. It is more sour than sauerkraut from the supermarket, but their foundational taste is very similar. They use the same wine, Baileys, and the coal, but they make one different. They throw sugar in the sauerkraut. This is without sugar. And if somebody want to have it more sweet and not so sour, everyone can make some sugar inside. This is more healthy because this is not heated up like the sauerkraut in the supermarket, and I can recommend it. Try it out. Imagine stepping into an 18th century German kitchen. They are thick with the aroma of fermenting garbage. In this video we are doing more than just cooking. We are recreating the exact process of making sauerkraut as it was done centuries ago. Join us on a captivity journey through historical food improvisation, uncovering techniques and traditions that shaped the diets of our ancestors. And I am here in the German kitchen. This kitchen I have rebuilt like a kitchen in the 18th centuries from our ancestors in Germany to rediscover the taste of the 18th century. And today we make sauerkraut, but not one sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is a typical food in the 18th century for the Germans, also a long time before, but it is different from region to region, and there are, I don't know how many different recipes exist. I have decided to make 3 different in this video and show you the recipe. They are very close together, but the taste is every time a little bit different, that I can make region typically food with the sauerkraut later. Because in Germany we are like many people, and in every region is really a different culture with the language, how the people think, how the people speak, but also what the people eat, especially in the 18th century. And for this I have decided to go to like the area of close to the Rhine River, like Hessians and the Pfalz. This is the area where I growing up. Then I have a recipe from the south of Germany, and I have a recipe, it came from Saxony, the old kingdom Saxon. It's also completely different like the other both recipes, and we will discover the taste, and I will cook with this later meals there was typically for the farmers. They're living back in these areas specific, and we have then a lot of varieties of food. And for this project today, I have different types of coals. Here I have some coals. They are already broken up. I have harvested them a few days ago and store them because we have a very dry summer. And then immediately there was a lot of raining, and if the garbage get a lot of raining in one time, they start to break up. And this is what you see here. And because of this, I have harvested them already. And a few minutes ago, I have harvested this one. This is complete, and this is all without any stuff. This is 100% nature. And you see this, we have here animal, they eat garbage, and you see this on the outside leaves. This is my first step. I remove the outside leaves. And this is what we do now. And after I have take off the first outside leaves, I go to the good leaves and save them for later. We need them later in the project. You will see why. And then I turn around the coal, and the hard stuff inside where the roots coming out, I don't know the English name, you can write it down below in this description. I cut it off. We don't want to eat this. I throw this away, and then the rest I try to cut very long stripes. There exist also tools. Also back then in the history, some families have a tool to make it very fast. I do this with the hand. This was also typically, and I don't have this tool. And then I collect the garbage that I have cut it down in long stripes. I have collected the garbage in this big bowl, and this is the largest bowl that I own. And because of this, I need to make it step by step. And now it's a really important step. And in the next step, we need to weigh how many garbage we have collected and cut down. And then we need 2% of this amount of weight in salt. And I have already weighed that. In the German amount, it is like, we call this 1 kilogram, and it needs 20 grams of salt. And I put it above this garbage, and then very important step, and it can take up to 10-15 minutes to beat and knead everything with the coal to break up the shell, that the juice coming out. This is what I will doing now, and yes, this is the most important step to make it with a lot of patience that the coal is breaked up. The garbage is finished, and you see this when they're coming a lot of juice out. And I have used also between this part here, this is a spoon with a big bag, and push them down, to push them together and put the juice out. It can also help by the process. And this is the first process for all 3 recipes that we do today. And the other both I will do exactly the same, but I don't show this again in the other both recipes. I will do this off camera. And yes, now the next step is to go the next step with sauerkraut. And for this I have this pot. Normally we have in Germany big pots, 10, 15, or it means 2, 3, 4 gallons, 10, 15 liters, really big pots. Also some people have pots, there is big like a bath tube and bigger, and they produce them for the whole year for the family. But I have only the small one. And with the first recipe, I have decided to make the Saxony recipe, and I have here juniper and caraway. This is 2 herbs, and I put them in. And there's 2 ways to put them in. Some people don't like to eat the seasonings with the sauerkraut. They put them just on the bottom, and this is enough to have a little bit of the taste in the sauerkraut. I make it a little bit different. I put the sauerkraut in, and then step by step I put the herbs in too, and I have them the whole way up, the herbs, and can eat them with the food. And now we filling up the cup, and the first step is to make a little bit of the garbage inside, and then I take the back of my spoon and press them down that every air can go out. Then a little bit of the herbs and new sauerkraut. I make this up to 3/4 of this pot filled, and then I take one of my garbage leaves, put them on the top under the water, and then I take a stone and put the stone on top to hold the leaf under the water. And the stones I have cooked over fire, that their all bacteria are died, that I have a clean stone that I put inside. And this is, and now you need to stay for several weeks. The first pot is finished and full, and I have already prepared the garbage for the second pot, and now we go to South Germany. Before we go to the most interesting sauerkraut recipe from my home region in Germany, we do this recipe because maybe this is the most famous taste of sauerkraut in Germany, because Bavaria is very famous for their sauerkraut. And if you have ideas which historical recipe with sauerkraut I should prepare and show on this YouTube channel, write it down below in the comments, and maybe I can find recipe about these regions and how the German have done this back then and show it to you. And for this Bavarian recipe or South German recipe is also Stuttgart, also the whole south. They have used cloves, uniper, and often pepper. But the problem is today I don't have pepper. I use only uniper and cloves. And this is also what can happen if you immigrated to the States, you have a farm. Sometimes you don't have all herbs and with you. And I just forgot them to take them with me. Because of this, I make it without pepper. And maybe later when I do a recipe, I can make pepper on the sauerkraut then too. And now I make the same process like before to put the sauerkraut in and the herbs. I need to show you one thing more, and this is if I push everything underwater or under the salt water, what is inside, it's important that everything is under. And you see the leaf here looking a little bit out of the water. It's important that everything is below the water surface. If not, then this there can go on bacteria, and then the whole sauerkraut will taste good later because they go bad. And because of this, I take everything out while what's reaching up. And yes, need a little bit time, but I'm very careful with this that I have a good product when it is finished. The first two pots are full, and I'm very excited to test them very soon. But now we're coming to the most interesting recipe from today. And this came, or is, from my home region, Pfalz, Hessian, something like this. It's not so clear because the borders back then is different than today. And there have, it's another video about the borders and the changing of the areas in Germany. But in this region we use fruits inside of our sauerkraut, and the garbage is prepared, cut short, and I make it soft and the juice coming out. And now we do an apple, we add an apple inside here before we go to the pot, and then we can mix it together. And for this I have a modern kitchen tool. Sorry for this, I don't have every historic kitchen tool. There exists historic kitchen tool, but I can go only step by step to buy and use them. But if you want to go or help me to go deeper in the historical methods and tools, then you can help me and support my YouTube channel. The easiest way is to subscribe this YouTube channel. The other way is go to Patreon. You can see the videos a long time before I release them, and also there are behind the scenes videos. And when there are more people come to Patreon, I will make more also behind the scenes videos for you, and you have a direct contact for questions, everything else. Yeah, check out the link to Patreon. And now I cut the apple and chop them in the garbage. And now I put the Julie bears inside again. I love Julie bears and we use them also. And I just put them in here and mix everything together. And what you can do also, don't take an apple, take raisins. This is one thing what we do also sometimes. We use raisins in the sauerkraut. Or another way is white wine. I have only 3 pots left. Because of this, I can't do this with white wine or yes, white wine. And this tastes also amazing to use white wine. Maybe if I have a pot ready or empty very soon, I can make one, but I don't make a own video about this. Just a little bit of white wine inside, or raisins like I have done the apple now inside. And this is a sauerkraut of the region where I growing up. The most important information coming on the end, and this is now. You see here the 3 pots with the 3 different recipes. I think this was first or second or third. Maybe I changed this both. I will see this when I open this. But now it is just garbage in salt water. And it isn't sauerkraut. The process of sauerkraut is what is coming now. And for this is the right storage. And I do this. I have my little German farm here. And I put them on top on one of my places inside. And then I put a little bit of water in this holes up here. And this prevents that no air can go in the jar. And now it's important, I will check it all few days that there is no water coming in, enough water is inside, that no air coming inside. But also I will take off the lid and look inside that no leaf look out of the water, salt water inside, or it is enough salt water inside. It can happen that salt water going down, 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 especially it's very warm. And for this you need to make salt water again on top. And this is a 2% solution. It means a half liter of water and 10 grams of salt, or 1 liter and 20 grams. And then you can make this mixture with fresh water and put on the water that the water level rise again in the pot. With everything what is to do, and then it needs 2 to up to 6 weeks that the sauerkraut is finished. And then I will make here other recipes, sauerkraut recipes from the different regions. Germany have a long tradition of sauerkraut and hundreds of recipes. And today we're going back in the 18th century and looking to one recipe that is eaten still today. And for the sauerkraut we need a special sauerkraut with caraway seeds. This came from Saxony, Germany, and in the 18th century it was his own kingdom. It was with border everything, and the recipe was eaten in this borders. Today it is eaten in whole Germany. How to make a sauerkraut with caraway seeds? I have produced an own video about this. It's linked above, and this is one of this foundational ingredient. But this recipe starts with bacon, and this bacon is very important to have a bacon with a lot of fat. Some people want to use less fat bacon, but the fat is very important for the end taste of this product. The best way is to using a frying pan, but I have only the small one, and this holds maybe the bacon, but not the whole sauerkraut. You need a large frying pan. But because I have here the Dutch oven, I will use Dutch oven. Only with heat from bottom and using like a pan, but this is big enough for our product today. And the coals are already under this Dutch oven, and I can put in my whole bacon. And in the time the bacon is in the pan, we need to go the next step. The best way is to have one large onion, but I have only smaller one. And now we cut them small. What I like to do this, make it not too small, that I can taste them better later. just half the onion and make like this. And you see this is like a 1/8 of an inch thickness. This is enough because the sauerkraut is very thick too. And the bacon need to be moved the whole time until the whole fat is out and the bacon start to be crispy. And then I take out only the bacon and the fat stay already in the pan. Now all the bacon need to take it out. And you see the most of the fat is now in this pot. At the same time we have this crispy bacon. Now we put in some butter and all the onions. To the onion and the butter coming some sugar. This is a little bit sweetness and they need a little bit, I don't like it if it's too much. And this is vanilla sugar. Normally using normal sugar, maple syrup, everything what's available. But this vanilla sugar is the only sugar that is available now for me. And this coming from the video, the vanilla sauce. Now we need to work very fast before the onions going burnt. And this is our sauerkraut. And we remove the stone away with them. And there is a cover up letter. I don't know, 1 or 2. I don't want to eat them too. You can cut them down and eat them. There's no problem. And now we have the sauerkraut. We can smell on this. It's smell wonderful. And I have this and drain them off. I do this on this place here. It's very hard. I think this is 1.5 pounds. This comes to the onions. The onions are fine and I let them go a little bit more brown, but it goes very fast on the hot pot. This is enough, and now I put in the whole sauerkraut. And we don't need salt. There is enough salt in the sauerkraut and the bacon. And but now it's important, I put a little bit water in and reduce the heat. By a Dutch oven it's very easy to reduce the heat. Just take out some of these coals and I take around 30% of what is now under the Dutch oven. With the reduced heat, now I let it cooking for the next 30 to 45 minutes. It's important to look in very often to see is there enough water in. On the end of this time it should be like only a little bit or no water left, but if it's cooking up too fast then it's important to make something water again in that is not burnt on the bottom of the pan, or in this case the Dutch oven. What I forgot to tell you is there was another method to sweeten it up too, and in the recipes I found very often that people cutting down 1 or 2 apples and put this in the sauerkraut in the cooking time, and I found also recipes where using dried plums and putting dried plums in the sauerkraut. I don't like both of these methods, and this is the reason why I have taken some sugar for my sauerkraut. Now I will add something. This is not written in the historical recipes because in Germany potatoes were not so famous in this time, but I have some of these colorful potatoes from my garden. I harvest them by myself. This pink one and this purple one, and I will cut them down and put them in for a little bit color in my dish. And I think people there was living in the States have maybe done this too, because in many sauerkraut recipe they added roots what there was available, like carrots and other roots. And for this reason, I think to make potatoes inside was not uncommon for the German immigrants. Now I have a time when should it be finished, when the potatoes are cooked well done. The sauerkraut is close to be finished. Now it's too hot for me to take it with the hand off. And yes, it smells beautiful. The most of the water is gone and you can't see it because this is too much steam. And now I take the whole bacon and put them in bag. That this is heated up again with the sauerkraut. And I close it and let it soak for about 5 minutes. This is really typical German food. German food from the countryside. Especially you can travel back with this recipe in the 18th century. And this is really fantastic. It is a little bit more sour than the recipes from the restaurants. And this is because the industry sauerkraut is not so sour like this one. But I like this more. But if you don't have your own sauerkraut, you can take sauerkraut from the supermarket, add some caraway seeds into the sauerkraut by cooking, and you have a typical East Germany or Saxony, Germany food. Oh, this is so delicious. I can recommend it. Try it out. This have eat the ancestor of the Germans. Today we are going to make pink pancakes. Original using historical methods and ingredients. One ingredient is only available in a short time of the year, and this is the red bats. And that is what we're using today. This is the special ingredient. I can't imagine it will be tasting good or not. Let's find it out. The recipe today came from the cookbook, The Universal Cook. This cookbook mainly collected recipes from other cookbooks. So I suspect that already exists earlier. But I can't find any earlier dated cookbook with this recipe. And this cookbook came from 792. The recipe starts very easy, just to cut off the top and the bottom of the roots. Then cut it in half and cook it for 45 minutes. And now don't be alarmed. I have a large family and making 4 times the amount what is called in the recipe. Normally this recipe is just a side dish, but for my family it will the meal for the evening. Now in the time when the bats are cooking, I can read the whole recipe to you. Pink colored pancakes. Having boiled a large bat root till it is tender. Beat it fine in a marble mortar. Put to it the yolk of 4 eggs, 2 spoonfuls of flour and 3 spoonfuls of cream. Sweeten it to your taste. Grate in half a nutmeg and add a glass of brandy. Mix all well together and fry them as before directed. Garnish with green sweetmeats, green sprigs of myrtle or preserved apricots. I have taken the pot closer to the fire because today it is so windy the pot can't really warming up, and with this it will go faster. I'm working the whole time without a clock, and for this reason there is another method to find out when the bats are finished, and for this it's very important to have a fork and then go with the fork in the bats. And you can feel it. Now it feels like a fresh bat and it's not cooked long enough. It should be very soft. And there I have a question. I am going in the end of the 18th century, like a German on the countryside of America. And what do you think? How the people back then measuring the time on the countryside? The bats are already finished. I have tested them a few minutes ago. They are perfect, very soft, and now we can take them off from the fire. And what I have here, this is the other recipe what I eat in this lunchtime, and it will become in another video one day. It will be a little bit later. And when I have taken off the beets, I can take them and peel them. When the beds are finished, the peel should like pop off immediately, like here, and it is very easy to take the peel off. Now it starts to be dangerous, because if their color come in my clothes, maybe it will be in there forever. And for this reason, I will change my clothes before I working on. This should be enough. And in the recipe, they called for a maple water, and I have only this one. This is a big one for me, but not big enough for this beds. And for this reason, I do this in this cooking bowl, and I will beat them up until it is a fine texture. This was harder than I expected, and I think it just tastes better if it is like small, like a puree. But I can't do this with this tool. I mix in and beat them up a long time now, and I never was thinking about maybe I will missing modern kitchen tools by doing historical recipe. But for me, this is enough, and I do everything for time the amount. This is recommended in the recipe, but I will tell the ingredients of the amount for one recipe. Now I will change it to a whisk and add it 4 egg yolks. I have prepared them already. Now the recipe calls for 3 spoonsful of cream and 2 spoonsful of flour. The question is, what is a spoon? A teaspoon, a cooking spoon? I don't know. And I have decided 1 spoon is around 1 floated ounce. What I added, that means for one recipe, 3 floated ounce of cream, and in the same amount 2 floated ounce of flour. But if the flour is not enough, I will add some flour in the process of mixing. The rest of the ingredients are a glass of brandy. I don't know how much it is. I make only a little bit in because my kids don't like it so much. Then a half nutmeg grinded up. This is a lot, but this gives the most or the main taste. And then sweeten it up like you taste it. I put in some sugar, and maybe I will sweeten it up by mixing it. And this is vanilla sugar I have produced in the video, the vanilla cream or vanilla sauce. And now it is just mixing, and it is important to do this around a half an hour or longer, because there is no leveling in this whole recipe. And with this mixing, there is putting air in this whole mixture, and this will give them a fluffy taste later. I think I beat them now up long enough, and I will start to make my first pancakes. I have only the small frying pan, and I still have heated it up, and now we want to have pink pancakes, not brown pancakes. And for this reason we need to be very gentle with butter, and for this I put them in a kitchen line cloth, and now I can butter through this cloth my pan only a little bit. And now I go and put in a little bit of my dough. You want to have only small one that is very easy to turn over. It is very hard to make this pink pancakes over fire without turning brown. I have tried to give my best, but the result is I have both sides a little bit brown. But the main thing is pink. I need to cook more often over fire to get this better. And now I will try them, but I think maybe the main reason for this dish is to bring color of a really big table with a lot of dishes, because the recipe is also very small and don't fill up really a family. And yeah, let's try it out. Very interesting. What I don't like are the little pieces of the bats. I feel them between the teeth. This is maybe, it need to be longer in the mortar, and I have tried to give my best, but I haven't enough time to make it better. With modern tools it's more easy. The taste of the bats is very, very small, and I like it because it don't really taste like the bats. And with the apricots, it's just a wonderful taste. Also, the leavening is very, very good and wonderful. I can recommend you, if you want to do this at home, then use a modern mixer to beat up the bats. It will make a more even dough, and I think this will be taste better, but the rest is wonderful. It is a wonderful recipe and I can recommend it. Try it out. Cherry stones are poisonous inside. There is cyanide inside of the cherry stones. But there was also used back then in the history, in the American and English history. We want to try today a recipe with the cherry stones and the poison inside and try out how they taste back then. We will do a cherry brandy, and this was brought by the English people in the English army to America and was very famous in the early America and the time of the first settlers. It was drank in the evening or after a really good supper. My recipe came from the Practice of Cookery from Miss Fraser and is from 741, and I will read it to you. Black cherry brandy. Stone 8 pounds of black cherries and put them in a gallon of best brandy. Bruise the stones in a mortar and then put them into your brandy. Cover them up close and let them stand for a month or 6 weeks. Then pour it clear from the sediments and bottle it. Morilla cherries done in this manner make a fine, rich cordial. Before we start, we need to clear some of these words. We have a black cherry or Morilla cherries, and this means the black cherries means wild cherries, and Morilla say also sweet, very sweet cherries. And I am so lucky enough, I have one of my trees in the garden. There is a wild cherry, and they have really sweet cherry fruits. And this is what we use today. The second thing is to take the best brandy, and I have decided to take a brandy that is like a middle class, that was stored a few years in a barrel, but not 20 like the best. And I think this is maybe very close to that what they have used back then. In the first step, I take so much cherry that I think that I need for this recipe and then stone them. I collect the stone in one jar and the stone cherries in the other jar. Then is coming the stones in the mortar, and I just beat them a little bit that the stones are broken. The alcohol take all the ingredients out of the broken stones and is enough if it's broken, but it is easier to clarify later the brandy with not powdered stones. Now we need to talk about the bottle what I use today. This is a typical bottle about this time, and this was produced for the people that are living on the ships. Because the ship is moving the whole time, a normal bottle will fall down very fast. But because the main weight of this bottle is down and the ship is moving, the bottle will still stand. And I have one of this bottle, and I think this is perfect for this experiment. First I put the mortared cherry stones in the bottle, that the stones are even in the bottom of the bottle. Then I put so much cherries inside that the bottle is filled up to 2/3 of the bottle. Why 2/3? In the recipe is written 8 pound cherry to 1 gallon of brandy, and it is even like 50-50. And because there is a little bit space between the cherries, I hope that I come very close to this point, half and half, when I make 2/3 of the bottle with the cherries. And then I put my brandy on top until the bottle is full and close the bottle up and let it stand for the next weeks. Warning! I crash the pits of the cherries, and the pits of the cherries are dangerous. Inside is a poison, cyanide, and if you eat or drink too much of them, you will die. And I have calculated this risk for me and myself, but I ask you, please never do this at home. Can be very dangerous. I do this because I want to recreate the taste of the 18th century and taste the original taste that people have tasted back then. And if you want to learn more about this time and how the food was produced, the people live, how they made their clothes, then you can subscribe this YouTube channel now. After weeks of aging, all the cherries and pits must now be removed. The best way is through a historical kitchen lying cloth. I place the cloth over a bowl, pour in the cherries with the brandy and press everything carefully. This separates the liquid from the fruit and the pits. A simple but effective method to remove the sharp edge pits. Then I pour the clear brandy back into the cleaned bottle. This preserves the full aroma of the fruits while removing the pits. Now it's time for the first sip. This brandy is complex, very fruitful, not too sweet, a little bit sour, and you have a bitterness in the background. And this is very clear. I think this came from the pits and maybe from the cyanide. They give the typical bitter note, but it is incredible good. And I can imagine how a worker or a landowner after a long working day is happy to drink a so rich, complex brandy in the evening. Wonderful. Today we shall make a historical apple wine or hard cider, following a German recipe from the 18th century. We shall use ripe apples in allowing the must to ferment in wood casks, as it was done in the past. No modern tricks, no precise measurements. We following the old methods and watch the flavors of the past unfold. We go deep in the past and we will see how such an easy apple like this one go to one of the most common historical drinks of the early Americans. In the 18th century, apple wine was one of the few drinks that can survive the winter unspoiled. While water was often unsafe and fresh juice quickly spoiled, must in wood cask could last for months. Thus apple wine becomes one secure and popular drink in the cold months. For this recipe today we have some apples, some tools, this bucket full of water, this bottich, you will see for this, but it's a very important step. We have this fruit press or juice press. This is not 100% historical accurate, there was a little bit different, but the only hand fruit press that is available in the moment for me. And we have this barrel here where we fill up with the juice and let them ferment in the barrel. And there is one rule: the older and often used the barrel is, the better is the apple wine on the end, or the hard cider. And many families in the Platin area in Germany, they have his own cask. I come from this area, but I haven't, or my family haven't, such old cask. And this is why we use this one. But before we start, I read the recipe to you. This historical recipe calls: gather ripe apples and crush them in a vat. Let the must stand for several hours, then press the apples. Leave the juice in clean cask and let them ferment naturally. When fermentation has finished, throw off the wine from the lass and place them in a cold location. In some regions, the apples are left for several days before the pressing, so that the juice yields a sweeter, more wine-like character. Should the fruit be too sour, add a little bit water or sugar. The recipe sounds very easy, but there is some tricks to get a really good apple wine. It was a little bit different from city to city, but the main goal is to get a really good apple juice. And this isn't just to take some apple and press them. You need to combine some apple types. The best way, you add 3 or more apples with different characters. Every apple has its own character, and it doesn't matter how it looks outside. The best apple that I use today, the really little one, and I need a lot of them to get the same amount of juice like the big one. But to combine it is important to know what's the character of the apple. You need to taste them and then mix a combination you like, from really sweet apple like this one, and I have here a second kind, they are very sweet too. Then I have a sour kind of apples, this is this kind, and then the most important apple is this one. This is another kind, I don't know the name, and this is very fruity taste. And I need to combine them like my taste. If it's not sour enough, the wine don't taste. It is too sour, it don't taste. It is too less sugar. I have a lower percentage of alcohol. With more sugar, I get more alcohol. But the main goal is the big or good taste. And this is the apple that I want to use for this. And I will combine them like I like it. I do like 15 to 20% of the taste apple and 20% of the sour apple, and the rest will more like the sweet apples. But this is my combination that I like, or I hope I like. Maybe I will by breathing and deciding raise or go left with one of the type of the apples. But you need to choose this by yourself. I don't want to have dirt in my apple wine, and for this, in the first step, I clean the apples and put them in the bucket full of water. And the goal is only to clean them from the dirt, because some apples was falling on the ground, but I don't want to rub them that they are 100% clean, because on the peel of the apple there is the yeast, and this yeast is very important for the fermentation later. And the clean apple, I put them in the bottich and smash them. And it needs a little bit time to smash them and let them stand for 1 hour. After smashing the apples, I start to press them. For this, I put the apple in my press and put them down a little bit, that they can go down and a little bit juice come out. Then I fill it up again, that I get so much apple in the press that I can do. Before we even start to press, the weight of the apples press the first juice out of the apples. And I collect a little bit, and this is the right moment to drink a little bit fresh apple juice. For tasting, but also just for tasty. Then I start the pressing and pour out the water. Every time when my bowl is full, I go to the barrel and fill it up. My first try was to put a lying cloth or kitchen cloth on top and put it in, that they can filter out the big particles and parts of apples. But it don't function. I make a big mess, and then I have decided just to go with my little bowl and pour everything immediately in the cask. When I can't press out more juice, then I open my press, put on some wood and press it down again to get more juice out of my apples. This here called apple cake or pressed cake, we call this in Germany. And what I do by big batches, it means 5 gallon or more volume the get in the press. It means really big presses. I take the cake out, mix them with other cake, and loose them again with the hands, that everything is loose again. Put them back in the press and press it again. And it means like 10% extra juice. And the people back then have done this too, in the 18th century, because the extra juice is a lot. For 1 liter, 10% extra. Or for 1 gallon, 10% of a gallon extra. But for the small amount that I have, or what I do today, the work is not worth to do this again. And for this, I put them immediately on the trash. I have done this exactly 5 times to get a full barrel of apple juice. What is special to know with the fermenting in the barrel, I get a special taste you can never get if you ferment it in glass or a stonework. You need to ferment it in wood casks to get the special taste. This barrel is full of fresh apple juice. It is around 2.5 gallons as a small batch. And now it needs to start to ferment, and we need to do nothing about this, because on the peel on the apples there was enough yeast to ferment. And what we now need to do, let them stand until it is finished. What I do here, I put this on top like this, but never push this down. If I push it down, I will close it and there will come pressure in this barrel and it will push it out and it will like an explosion. And this is important. What they do back then, they put a little bit cloth on top and push it down a little bit, but there is enough space that there can come out. The modern way is to make an airlock on top and let it ferment. Today we are usually just grab sauce from the supermarket. Ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, ready to go. We hardly think about how sauces were made in the past. In the 18th century it was different. People made numerous types of sauce themselves. One of the sauce, which is mostly been forgotten, I will show you today. It's easy to make and you can try it yourself. This recipe came from the cookbook The Art of Cookery von Hannah Clark. The cookbook is from 747 and I have made some excellent dishes on this YouTube channel from this cookbook until today. And when I found this recipe, I was surprised how easy it is. To make egg sauce proper for the roasted chickens. Melt your butter thick and fine. Chop 2 or 3 hard-boiled eggs fine. Put them into a basin. Pour the butter over them and have a good gravy in the dish. I starting with boiling the eggs. For this I take my pot on the fire with cold water and put the eggs inside, and the eggs in the water will heat it up together, and I let them stand until I know it was cooked and the eye are done inside. And it can stay a little bit longer, it's no problem. We want to have full cooked eggs. And when it is finished, I take the egg in the pot out of the fire and starting my next step. And now I want to make my chicken, and I put the grill over the fire that I have just used and put the chicken on top. And in the moment the chicken will roast it, I go back to the eggs and then I peel all the eggs and cut them small. And I make a difference between egg yolk and egg white. I make the egg whites in little pieces and the egg yolks very small, because I like it when the egg yolk and the butter will connect it and make the special taste of the sauce. And when it's everything cut down in small pieces, I put it in my little bowl and then we can go back to the chicken. I make only a little bit salt on top of the chicken because the main taste will come from the sauce. And in this moment I'm wondering, how did the people back then roast the chicken over an open fire? Or did they already have something like an oven? What do you think? How did the people do it in the past, in the mid 18th century? And when I see the chicken will done very soon, then I take my pot again and put a little bit butter inside the pot and let that melt down. In the moment all the butter is melted, I put the egg in the melted butter and stir them very well. And in this moment the egg yolk and the butter will connect it very well and we have our sauce. And when everything is finished, I garnish a beautiful dish and put the sauce on top of this wonderful brown roasted chicken, and you see how it's flowed over them. It looks so delicious. This dish is so tasteful again, I like it. And you can do it at home and you can use more butter. There is no description how much butter. I don't want to have so much fat. If you use more butter, it will more floating around. But only with this less butter, it is really like juiceful flesh again. And I'm surprised how good this is, and I will enjoy it now. When Thanksgiving was celebrated in the 18th century, it was a big party in the end of the year. But something was different than what we know today about Thanksgiving. And one thing, they eat a lot of meat. Something like poultry, wild meat or rabbits. But today we're hearing very less about rabbits as Thanksgiving food. This is the reason why I'm preparing a rabbit after a historical recipe for this year Thanksgiving. The nice thing about this time of the year for the people back then was, especially because it was the end of the harvest season, they could find all kinds of fresh products, and the table was full and overflowing. I found several recipes for rabbits. Pie sounds very exciting, but a typical recipe is cooking the rabbit whole and make sauces to go with it. And that's what I decided to do today, and the recipe came from the cookbook The Art of Cookery, made plain and easy for Hannah class from 747, and the recipe reads: to boil a rabbit. Draft them for boiling, boil them quick and white. Put them into a dish with onion sauce over them. Made those? Take as many onions as you think will cover them. Peel them and boil them very tender. Drain them off, squeeze them very dry, and chop them very fine. Put them into a soup pan with a piece of butter, half a pint of cream, and a little salt, and shake in a little flour. Stir them well over a gentle fire till the butter is melted. Then put them over your rabbits or a sauce made those. Blanch the liver and chop them very fine, with some parsley blanched and chopped. Mix them with melted butter and put it over, or with gravy and butter. Yesterday I butchered this rabbit, and this is what we want to do today. But before, we need to start to cook the water. I have here my Dutch oven. It is half full with water, and I prepared some coals for this. And it's important to have enough coals under the Dutch oven. I put here a few on this place. I make it like a pizza for under the oven and put the oven on top. And then I put some of those coals on top too, and hope the water will cook very fast. First is to bind the rabbit together. It's more the way that it's not overcooked on the side. I make this like this. Here. The rabbit is ready, and it needs a little bit more time until the water is cooking, and in this time we can start with the first sauce. We're starting the onion sauce or onion gravy with a pot full of water up on the coals that it's heated up for the onions. What is the main ingredient for our onion gravy? Of course, the onions. And this is very easy. I cut off the top and the bottom, halve them, and then peel them, and I am ready to cook the onions. The onions will cook for around 10 to 15 minutes, and then they are tender. Before I put the rabbit in the pot, we will start to prepare the liver sauce. And what I have here is the whole liver of one rabbit. From a small rabbit, I'm really surprised how big a liver from this small animal can be. And the first step is to blanch them. And to blanch meat or liver is different to blanch vegetable or parsley, what we do in a moment too, what I show you in a moment. And the first step is to have cooking water. And now I take the lever and hold them very short in the cooking water. It turns a little bit the color, and after a few seconds, like now, I can take them out and the leather is finished blanched. I take out the blanched fresh leather and cut them in small pieces. And you can see how the color changed very fast in this process. And this is to close the outside of the meat. The leather is finished, and the next step is to blanch the parsley. And this is a little bit different. It is a vegetable or green, and this is, I order this here first, and then I need to have a cold water ready. It's here, and it's really like hold them and just dipping in the hot water, and immediately after this it need to go in the cold water. If you don't do this, it will overcook, and this cold water stop it for cooking. Before I'm working on and preparing the leather sauce, now it's the time to boil the rabbits. And in this size, it's around 3 pounds. I think it will need about 1¼ to 1½ hours in boiling water. And I just laying this, and it just cover the whole rabbit. Now you see the parsley and the ends are very bitter. This is what I don't want to have in my sauce later. And for this I cutting it very small on the top. And there will come a little bit in the sauce, but that's enough. And now we have very small parsley ready for the sauce. The onions are cooked long enough, and now they need to be strained out of this water. And for this I have the sieve here, and I can do this here very easy with this blade. The fresh cooked onion need to be made very small pieces. Now I can take the cooked onion. They're a little bit hot in the moment. All this onion coming back in this pot again. Now the rest of the ingredients is coming to the sauce. First a piece of butter. I don't know what means a piece. I take this one here. And then a half a pint of cream, a little bit of salt, and some flour for the thickness, that we have a good sauce on the end. Then this all together need to put on the fire and to heat it slowly And in the whole time it's important to stir them a little bit, that it's not burning from downsides on the spot. And then the sauce will be heated up until the whole butter is melted down and the sauce generates a little bit thickness over the time. In the next step we need a frying pan, and I have only a small one, and put in some butter. This is the amount that I have decided to use for this small lever. And now I need it to heat it up over fire, but I need to be very careful because butter is turning brown very fast, and I want to melt it, but I don't want to have a black butter on the end. Now we have melted butter, and I put in first the lever, and in the second step the parsley. Now I will stir it the whole time that it's not burning on the ground of this pan until the sauce is finished, and you will see it when the lever is cooked completely. Now is the most stressful part in the cooking time. I have two sauce that need to be stirred the whole time. First here my lever sauce, second my onion gravy, and the onion gravy here is very close to be finished, and this is still thickened up, and the rest of the butter is melted down very soon. And then we need to wait until the rabbit is full cooked. The sauce is close to be finished, but I want to fry a little bit more the lever because it tastes a little bit better if this is a little bit more fried. And I can fry it in the butter that is in the saucepan. I need only 3-4 minutes, and then the sauce is finished. The sauces are finished, and it is time for the rabbit, and this should be finished too. It cooked long enough. Yes, looks beautiful. And let's take it out. The best part is to try what is finished, and these are 2 different sauces on the rabbit, and yeah, let's surprise how it tastes. I have knife and fork, but I think it's better to eat it with a hand. Very tender but very dry flesh of rabbit. Aber with this lever, I get an interesting twist. I never eat something like this, and the parsley came through. It was really It tastes really fresh because the big amount of parsley. It's really, really good. Let's go over to the onion sauce or the onion gravy. It looks really different. And let's try it out. It's like a total different dish. It's the same rabbit, but the sweetness of the onion came through. Big onion taste. Very tender rabbit. Tastes great. I think because there is not much fat on the rabbit, there will be something missing without these sauces. It's very important to make sauces to the rabbit. With this sauces, it's a great dish. Yeah. What is your favorite dish to Thanksgiving? This is for me interesting. Write it down in the comments.